Good morning, dear students. You know me, I am Dr. Rinku Garg, Professor and HOD Physiology. Today we are going to study about hypoxia, cyanosis and its oxygen therapy. As you know, we have already studied neural and chemical regulation of respiration. Now first of all, we will learn about learning objectives of hypoxia. What are the types of hypoxia? What are the causes and what are the features of hypoxia? How do you manage hypoxia? What is cyanosis and oxygen therapy? First of all, how do you define hypoxia? It is defined as deficiency of oxygen at the tissue level. You have to separate it, differentiate it from anoxia. Anoxia is complete absence of oxygen at the tissue level, whereas hypoxia is deficiency of oxygen at the tissue level. Tissues suffer from hypoxia when they suffer oxygen, when there is decreased supply of oxygen to the tissues. What are the types of hypoxia? It can be hypoxic hypoxia, it can be anemic hypoxia, it can be stagnant hypoxia, and it can be histotoxic hypoxia depending upon the cause of hypoxia. So there are 4 types of hypoxia: hypoxic hypoxia, anemic hypoxia, stagnant hypoxia and histotoxic hypoxia. So first of all, we will see what is hypoxic hypoxia. When PO2 of arterial blood is reduced, the hypoxia is known as hypoxic hypoxia. So in hypoxic hypoxia, PO2, that is arterial PO2 is reduced, due to which delivery of oxygen to the tissues is reduced. So it can be due to various causes. It can be due to decreased oxygen in the inspired air, or it can be due to diseases of the respiratory apparatus, so that cause decreased oxygen supply to the tissues. Now let us see what are the various causes of hypoxic hypoxia. So first of all, it can be due to low PO2 in the inspired air itself. Suppose you are going at high altitude, so barometric pressure of oxygen decreases at high altitude. So if you ascend rapidly at high altitude, so there will be decline in alveolar PO2. So that will cause hypoxic hypoxia. Or it can be due to hypoventilation. It can be hypoventilation can be due to airway obstruction. It can be due to paralysis of respiratory apparatus, and it can be due to depression of the respiratory center due to various drugs or many other causes. So that cause hypoxic hypoxia. Third cause can be if there is any diffusion defect. For example, if there is pulmonary edema, or there is fibrosis in the lungs, or lungs have collapsed. So all these diseases will cause diffusion defect that will cause hypoxic hypoxia. Fourth can be, it can be due to ventilation perfusion mismatch. So perfusion of ventilation perfusion mismatch we have already studied. So it can be due to AV shunts, lung collapse or cyanotic congenital heart disease. So these all are the causes of hypoxic hypoxia. First of all, it can be due to when you are going at high altitude, or due to hypoventilation, then due to diffusion defect or ventilation perfusion mismatch. Now coming to anemic hypoxia. So first of all, we have to see that anemic hypoxia, it is due to decreased hemoglobin in the arterial blood. Here PO2 in the inspired air is normal. So we have to differentiate it from the hypoxic hypoxia. In hypoxic hypoxia, there was decreased PO2 in the inspired air. So tissues were not getting enough PO2 for their needs. But in this PO2 of the but in anemic hypoxia, PO2 in the inspired air is normal, but hemoglobin is less. That is not sufficient to meet the oxygen requirement of the tissues. So what are the causes that cause anemic hypoxia? That is, it can be due to anemia, that is decreased Hb concentration. Then it can be due to carbon monoxide poisoning, or it can be due to altered hemoglobin, for example methemoglobin. So what is the mechanism of anemic hypoxia? So in anemic hypoxia, as I already told you, that PO2 of the inspired air is normal, diffusion capacity of the lungs is also normal, PO2 of arterial blood is normal, but the oxygen supply to the tissues is reduced because adequate hemoglobin is not available to deliver oxygen to the tissues. But in if the anemia is mild or anemia is moderate, oxygen supply to the tissues is not very much affected because there is uh, compensating increase in 2,3 DPG in the red cells. So these patients will not develop hypoxia normally in their regular activities, but they develop hypoxia during exercise or during heavy workout due to their limited ability to deliver oxygen to the tissues. Now I hope you have understood the difference between anemic and hypoxic hypoxia. Anemic hypoxia is because of decreased hemoglobin concentration in the blood. PO2 of the inspired air is normal, whereas in hypoxic hypoxia, PO2 in the inspired air was less. Now anemic hypoxia occurs due to carbon monoxide poisoning. So as you know, carbon monoxide has affinity for hemoglobin, that is 200 times greater than the affinity of oxygen. So if there is carbon monoxide poisoning, release of carbon monoxide from the carboxy hemoglobin is very slow due to the high affinity. So oxygen cannot bind with hemoglobin. So although the hemoglobin content is normal in carbon monoxide poisoning, but hemoglobin is not available to deliver oxygen to the tissues. So carbon monoxide poisoning, we will classify it as anemic hypoxia only. And in this poisoning, as we have already studied, hemoglobin dissociation curve shifts to left, that decreases the release of hemoglobin, oxygen from the hemoglobin. Now coming to third type of hypoxia, that is stagnant hypoxia. Till now we have discussed hypoxic hypoxia, then anemic hypoxia. Now coming to stagnant hypoxia. It is also known as hypoperfusion hypoxia. So when hypoxia occurs due to decreased blood flow to the tissues, this is known as stagnant hypoxia. So we will see in hypoxic hypoxia, PO2 in the inspired air was normal. In anemic hypoxia, in hypoxic hypoxia, PO2 in the inspired air was less. In anemic hypoxia, HB was less. In stagnant hypoxia, both these things are normal. PO2 is normal, HB is normal, but tissues are not getting enough oxygen for their demands due to decreased blood flow to the tissues. So this is known as hypoperfusion hypoxia. Tissues are not receiving the adequate amount of blood, so it causes decreased perfusion of tissues due to stagnation of blood flow. So this type of hypoxia is also known as ischemic hypoxia. So stagnant hypoxia, hyperperfusion hypoxia, or ischemic hypoxia. So stagnant hypoxia can be due to heart failure, shock, or in vascular obstruction that causes specific organ hypoxia. So what is the mechanism of stagnant hypoxia? In stagnant hypoxia, oxygen content of arterial blood is normal. Hypoxia occurs due to stagnation of blood in circulation. So this is known as circulatory hypoxia also. So it occurs due to decreased cardiac output or decreased blood flow secondary to some other causes. So what happens in hypoxia, stagnant hypoxia, because of metabolism of the tissues due to their less washout and continuously activities going on. So there will be accumulation of metabolic waste products that will cause local acidosis. So that will inhibit the cellular metabolism in the tissues. So now coming to, this was about stagnant hypoxia. Now coming to fourth type of hypoxia, that is histotoxic hypoxia. So in histotoxic hypoxia, first three things are normal, that is PO2 in the inspired air is normal, hemoglobin is normal, blood flow to the tissues is also normal. So what is the problem here? It is that tissues themselves cannot utilize oxygen in spite of normal oxygen supply. So this is known as histotoxic hypoxia. So as tissues are unable to utilize oxygen, venous tension of oxygen is high. So it occurs in cyanide poisoning or some other poisons. Cyanide, what does it do? It inhibits the cytochrome oxidase. So tissue oxidation is paralyzed. Or it can occur in diphtheria. In diphtheria toxin inhibits the synthesis of one of the cytochromes and prevents the oxygen utilization. So cyanide poisoning is treated by methylene blue or nitrites. They form methemoglobin that in turn reacts with cyanide to form cyan-methemoglobin, that is a non-toxic compound. So hyperbaric oxygen therapy is also useful in cyanide poisoning. So we have seen 4 types of hypoxia: hypoxic hypoxia, anemic hypoxia, stagnant hypoxia, and histotoxic hypoxia. I hope all of you have understood what are the types of hypoxia, what are the causes of hypoxia, and what is the mechanism of hypoxia. Now once again we will see comparison of different types of hypoxia in the tissues. First of all, we will take up hypoxic hypoxia. So in this hypoxia, arterial PO2 is low due to decreased oxygen in the environment. But oxygen carrying capacity of the blood and rate of blood flow to the tissues is normal. But in anemic hypoxia, as we have already studied also, that amount of hemoglobin is less, whereas PO2 is normal, rate of blood flow to the tissues is normal. In stagnant hypoxia, rate of blood flow to the tissues is reduced, PO2 is normal, hemoglobin is also normal. In histotoxic hypoxia, normal oxygen delivery to the tissues, but tissues cannot utilize oxygen because of the action of toxic agents. So we have to concentrate on 4 things, that is what is the PO2 of the inspired air, then we have to see hemoglobin, then we have to see rate of blood flow to the tissues, and then the toxic agents. So in hypoxic hypoxia, first thing, that is PO2 in the inspired air is less, so patient will suffer from hypoxia. In anemic hypoxia, PO2 will be normal, in the inspired it will be normal, but hemoglobin will be less, except in carbon monoxide poisoning, but that will also cause anemic hypoxia. Then in stagnant hypoxia, these 2 factors are normal, but blood flow to the tissues is decreased. And in fourth, that is histotoxic hypoxia, all these 3 factors are normal, but the tissues cannot utilize, tissues suffer from hypoxia as they cannot utilize oxygen because of certain toxins or chemicals that inactivate the cellular enzymes. Now what are the causes of hypoxic hypoxia? We have already seen this can be due to high altitude, or it can be due to diffusion defects, or it can be due to ventilation perfusion mismatch. And anemic hypoxia can be due to, we have already seen that it can be occur into anemia, then it can occur in hemorrhage or carbon monoxide poisoning or methemoglobin, altered hemoglobin. Then stagnant hypoxia occurs in circulatory failure, shock, heart failure. Then histotoxic hypoxia occurs in cyanide poisoning or diphtheria poisoning. In hypoxic hypoxia, let us see arterial PO2. Arterial PO2 decreases in hypoxic hypoxia. It is normal in other 3 types of hypoxia. In anemic, stagnant, and histotoxic, we have discussed in detail. Then arterial oxygen content. In first hypoxic hypoxia, it is decreased as the inspired PO2 is decreased, so it is oxygen content is also decreased, and it is also markedly decreased in anemic hypoxia. Then but it is normal in stagnant hypoxia and histotoxic hypoxia. Then percentage oxygen saturation of hemoglobin. In hypoxic hypoxia, it is decreased, and it is also decreased in anemic hypoxia, and then it is normal in stagnant and histotoxic hypoxia. I hope you can understand. Then what is the PO2 difference in the arterial and venous blood in the hypoxia. Difference is decreased as the PO2 in the arterial blood is decreased and PO2 in the venous blood is decreased. So this is decreased, but it is normal in anemic hypoxia and it is more than normal because the blood flow to the tissues is decreased. So the tissues will be able to extract more oxygen. So the difference will be 19 minus, for example, 10. So it will be more than normal, and in histotoxic hypoxia it will be less than normal because the tissues cannot utilize. So for example, it will be 19 minus 18. So it will be less than normal. Cyanosis is present in hypoxia. Then it is absent. Why it is absent in anemic hypoxia? Because hemoglobin is deficient. So anemic in anemic hypoxia, this is cyanosis is not seen. Then cyanosis is present in stagnant hypoxia. Then it is also absent in histotoxic hypoxia, as reduced hemoglobin is produced in small amounts because tissues cannot utilize oxygen. Then stimulation of peripheral chemoreceptors is present in hypoxia. It is absent in anemic hypoxia, as dissolved oxygen in the plasma it is sufficient to meet their receptor demands. Then it is stimulation of peripheral chemoreceptors will be present in stagnant hypoxia and histotoxic hypoxia. Now coming to what are the effects of hypoxia on the body. So we can divide it into various types: acute, subacute and chronic. So depending upon the severity, duration and type of hypoxia, we can divide it into various hypoxias. So features of acute hypoxia, that occurs rapidly. If you ascend at high altitude very rapidly, so that causes acute hypoxia. So features resemble acute alcoholism. So impaired judgment and motor incoordination are the major manifestations of the acute hypoxia. If hypoxia persists for long period, so there will be fatigue, there will be drowsiness, nausea, headache, hyperventilation, dyspnea, then apathy, inattentiveness, delayed reaction time, reduced work capacity, confusion and disorientation. In severe hypoxia, hypertension will also occur. In severe and prolonged hypoxia, brain stem is depressed and death can result from respiratory failure. Anaerobic glycolysis in the tissues due to decreased oxygen supply will cause lactic acid accumulation that will lead to metabolic acidosis. So stimulation of chemoreceptors by hypoxia, it will produce hyperventilation. Because of hyperventilation, there will be washout of carbon dioxide of the body and that will cause respiratory alkalosis. However, if you combine it with metabolic acidosis, serum bicarbonate level will decrease. So what are the effects on cells of the, what are the effects of hypoxia on cells? Transcription factors known as hypoxia inducible factors are produced by hypoxia. Normally, in the presence of adequate oxygen in the tissues, alpha subunits are rapidly removed from the cells. In hypoxic conditions, dimerization of alpha and beta subunits occurs in the cells. So alpha and beta dimers will cause induction of genes that produce erythropoietin and angiogenic factors. So this is the cause of angiogenesis or neovascularization in the hypoxic tissues. Now coming to effect on brain. Brain tissue, as you already know, brain tissue is highly sensitive to hypoxia. Sudden fall in inspired PO2 to less than 20 mmHg, it causes loss of consciousness in about 15 seconds. If hypoxia continues, death can occur in 4 to 5 minutes. So this can typically occur in sudden drop in cabin pressure if a plane is flying above 16,000 meter. If hypoxia is of lower intensity, so causes the symptoms that are similar to of the alcohol intoxication, such as disorientation, impairment judgment, headache, drowsiness. Now coming to chronic hypoxia. In chronic hypoxia, polycythemia occurs due to increased erythropoietin production. Local hypoxic vessel dilation in the tissues increases tissue blood flow. So we have seen that there are mainly 4 types of hypoxia: hypoxic hypoxia, anemic hypoxia, then ischemic or stagnant hypoxia, and histotoxic hypoxia. We have studied their features and causes and what are the effects on tissues. In the respiratory system, it causes metabolic acidosis and respiratory alkalosis. That is the overall that will lead to decrease in bicarbonate levels. Then symptoms of acute hypoxia resemble the alcoholic intoxication, whereas chronic hypoxia mainly it will cause polycythemia. Now coming to cyanosis. Cyanosis, it is a bluish discoloration of the skin membranes of the body due to presence of reduced hemoglobin or deoxyhemoglobin in more than 5 gram % in the blood. It is normally detected when oxygen saturation is less than 85%. It is also seen in excess of abnormal hemoglobin such as methemoglobin or sulfahemoglobin. What is the physiological basis of cyanosis? When the concentration of reduced hemoglobin is more than 5 gram % in the capillary blood, skin and mucous membranes become blue because of the dark color of the reduced hemoglobin. So hemoglobin, as you know, it is 95% saturated with oxygen. So about 14.25 gram % in the arterial blood is oxyhemoglobin and 0.75% is reduced hemoglobin. In mixed venous blood, 70% of hemoglobin is saturated with oxygen. 10.5 gram of 15 gram % of hemoglobin in the venous blood is oxyhemoglobin and 4.5 gram is reduced hemoglobin. The amount of reduced hemoglobin in capillary blood is assumed to be the mean of arterial and venous content of reduced hemoglobin. Thus, in a normal individual at rest, capillary blood contains 2.6 gram % of reduced hemoglobin. Color of normal skin and mucous membrane is pink. When the concentration of reduced hemoglobin is more than 5 gram %, cyanosis appears. Presence of excess of other hemoglobin complexes like methemoglobin and sulfahemoglobin in the blood produces cyanosis because of their dark color. Cyanosis is not seen in severe anemia and carbon monoxide poisoning. Why? Because when hemoglobin in severe anemia, there will be less hemoglobin content, less than 5 gram %. That may not show cyanosis, as the total hemoglobin is less than 5 gram %. Minimum 5 gram % of hemoglobin is required to produce cyanosis. Also, cyanosis is not seen in carbon monoxide poisoning because carboxyhemoglobin prevents reduction of oxyhemoglobin and color of carboxyhemoglobin is cherry red. Now coming to what are the types of cyanosis. It is mainly of 3 types: peripheral, central, and we can say third is mixed type. So and there is one more type you can say, that is differential cyanosis. Central cyanosis mechanism is there is inadequate oxygenation of systemic arterial blood. That is seen in hypoxic hypoxia. Then peripheral cyanosis, it is due to sluggish peripheral circulation. That is seen in stagnant hypoxia. Then central cyanosis is checked on tongue and oral mucosa. Peripheral cyanosis on tip of nose, ear lobules, outer aspects of lip, fingertips, nail bed and extremities. Central cyanosis is associated with clubbing and polycythemia. In central cyanosis, extremities like limbs are warm, but in peripheral cyanosis, limbs are cold due to decreased blood flow to the tissues. If you warm the extremities, there is no change, but in the peripheral cyanosis disappears. Oxygen inhalation will cause slight improvement in the central cyanosis, but there will be no improvement in the peripheral cyanosis. Then pulse volume may be high and it is low in peripheral cyanosis. Dyspnea is usually present in central cyanosis, but it is not present in the peripheral cyanosis. On exercise, central cyanosis will increase, peripheral cyanosis can improve. Peripheral cyanosis occurs due to slowing of flow of blood through the tissue, that allowing more time for removal of oxygen by the tissues. Causes can be decreased cardiac output, as occurs in heart failure. It can be due to local vasoconstriction, for example in severe cold. Venous obstruction, for example superior vena cava syndrome. Then increased viscosity of blood, as seen in polycythemia, multiple myeloma. Then arterial obstruction, example peripheral vascular disease. Central cyanosis, when reduced hemoglobin concentration is more than 5 gram % due to mixing of arterial blood with venous blood or inadequate oxygenation of the arterial blood, central cyanosis results. Causes can be due to admixture of venous and arterial blood, for example in congenital heart disease like Fowler's tetralogy, pulmonary AV fistula, PDA, patent ductus arteriosus, then transposition of great vessels. And it can also be due to inadequate oxygenation of arterial blood, for example due to low atmospheric oxygen at high altitude, then inadequate ventilation and decreased gases exchange, that is in hypoxia. Then third, it can be mixed cyanosis. Both central and peripheral mechanisms operate. Most common example is chronic cor pulmonale due to emphysema, or seen in cardiogenic shock when pulmonary edema and CCF due to left-sided heart failure. Then other types are differential cyanosis. This is a condition where cyanosis appears on one half of the body. In PDA, with a reversal of shunt due to pulmonary hypertension, cyanosis is seen only in lower limbs. Upper limbs are spared. Then intermittent cyanosis. Cyanosis is seen intermittently. It occurs in Ebstein's anomaly. Then cyclical cyanosis, it occurs for few days, then disappears, then again reappears. It occurs in bilateral choanal atresia. Then orthocyanosis, it occurs only in upright position due to severe hypoxia occurring in erect posture of the body. Then how do you treat hypoxia and cyanosis? So this is by oxygen therapy. We have to give the oxygen therapy to the patient. Oxygen therapy is indicated in hypoxia. It is very useful in acute and severe hypoxia, especially when hypoxia is associated with dyspnea. So how you can give the oxygen? So by various methods, like you have commonly seen, by giving oxygen mask, by using oxygen mask, it enters a mask at high velocity, so that is oxygen drawn through the holes at the mask. And oxygen tent can also be used. It is very useful in children, as they usually do not tolerate mask or cannula. It is also useful in giving hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Then oxygen can also be given by mechanical ventilator when patient is semi-conscious or in coma. Oxygen is administered by mechanical ventilator through an endotracheal or tracheostomy tube. That is, there is opening in the trachea is made artificially by surgery. Then fourth method is through intranasal tube. Here we have to insert cannula into the nostrils, through which the oxygen is connected to the oxygen cylinder. Oxygen therapy in different forms of hypoxia. In hypoxic hypoxia, as hypoxia is decreased, as you know, in hypoxic hypoxia, it is due to decreased oxygen in the arterial blood. So it is very useful. Oxygen therapy is very useful in hypoxic hypoxia, especially caused by low PO2 in the inspired air, as in hypoventilation or impaired diffusion in the lungs. So in such conditions, administration of oxygen, it will increase the pressure gradient between the alveoli and blood, so that will cause increased oxygen entry into the tissues. However, oxygen therapy is not useful in hypoxic hypoxia if it is due to AV shunts, as admixture occurs after oxygenation in the lungs. In anemic hypoxia, oxygen therapy increases oxygen content of the blood. We have discussed that oxygen content was markedly reduced in the anemic hypoxia. So here oxygen therapy will improve oxygen content of the blood by increasing the quantity of dissolved oxygen in the blood. In carbon monoxide poisoning, hyperbaric oxygen therapy is useful. So it will facilitate dissociation of carbon monoxide from hemoglobin, and it will increase the transport of oxygen to the tissues in dissolved state. In stagnant hypoxia, it is not much useful as blood flow is decreased. We have to treat that cause. Oxygen is in normal supply already. So in stagnant hypoxia, it is not very useful. In histotoxic hypoxia, it is not very useful. Oxygen therapy is not very beneficial. However, oxygen therapy, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, can benefit by displacing the chemical bound to hemoglobin. So now important point of oxygen therapy is it is harmful in states of depressed respiratory centers. If the hypoxia is due to depressed respiratory center, if you give oxygen therapy, it will cause further respiratory depression because person is breathing. In such subjects, blood PCO2 is high, that depresses the respiratory centers, and there is breathing is maintained by stimulation due to hypoxia. Now giving artificial oxygen from outside, you have removed that stimulus, so that will cause further respiratory depression. So we have to be very careful while giving oxygen therapy. We have to rule out what is the cause of hypoxic hypoxia. If it is due to depression of respiratory center, we should not give oxygen therapy. Then now coming to what is hyperbaric oxygen therapy. That we have to increase the oxygen pressure, that is administration of 100% oxygen at increased pressure. When hyperbaric oxygen is administered, oxygen transport in the dissolved form increases. Oxygen solubility normally is 0.03 ml per 100 ml per mmHg. So to achieve 6 ml per 100 ml, so which is adequate to maintain normal metabolic needs of the tissue. So arterial PO2 should be 2000 mmHg. So we have to achieve this by administering 100% oxygen at a pressure of 3 atmosphere. So a hyperbaric oxygen therapy is very useful in carbon monoxide poisoning. But if we increase the pressure further, it can cause oxygen toxicity. So what are the effects of 100% oxygen therapy? So effects depend upon for how much duration we are giving the oxygen therapy. When given for more than 3 days, 100% oxygen produces side effects. Side effects appear early if the pressure at which oxygen administered is high. When administered at 4 atmosphere, symptoms develop in half an hour, and if administered at 6 atmosphere, pressure develop in just few minutes. So now we will see what are the effects on CNS. It can be nausea, patient becomes irritable, dizziness, disorientation, muscle twitching and convulsions. In severe cases, patient can go into coma. Hyperbaric therapy decreases ATP and GABA content of the brain. That is how it causes all these CNS side effects. On the respiratory system, there will be congestion and irritation of the airways, and there will be increased tracheobronchial secretion, and surfactant production will decrease. So this will cause pulmonary edema and atelectasis. Then there can be ringing in the ears, that is known as tinnitus, blurring of vision, loss of equilibrium. In the eyes, it can be retrolental fibroplasia in newborn, that results in premature retinopathy. Then visual defects also occur due to formation of opaque vascular tissue in the eye. If we are giving it for more longer time, it can cause bronchopulmonary dysplasia and lung cyst, especially in infants treated for respiratory distress syndrome. So what is the mechanism of toxicity? Because with pure oxygen therapy, oxidized free radicals like superoxide anion and hydrogen peroxide, these accumulate in the tissues in the body in excess amounts. So these anions, superoxide anion and hydrogen peroxide, these will oxidize the polyunsaturated fatty acids and destroy the cellular enzymes. So as a result, toxic effects due to oxygen tissue therapy result. So this, now in this lecture we have learnt about hypoxia, that we have discussed in detail. then we have learnt about cyanosis, then we have learnt about oxygen therapy. So to summarize, like there are 4 types of hypoxia: hypoxic hypoxia, anemic hypoxia, stagnant hypoxia, and histotoxic hypoxia. We have studied their causes, and we have studied what are the effects on CNS, then respiratory system, then how do you treat it. We have to treat it by oxygen therapy. Then we can give pressure oxygen at normal pressure on, or in certain conditions at high pressure. Then we have studied about cyanosis. What are the types of cyanosis? That is, cyanosis is bluish discoloration of the skin and mucous membrane. It can be central, or it can be peripheral, or it can be mixed type. So I hope you have understood the lecture well. Thank you.